There is a quiet place within you that has never worried about a single thing. It has never lost sleep over a bill, never trembled at the thought of rejection, never replayed yesterday's mistakes or rehearsed tomorrow's catastrophes. It is the still, silent awareness behind your thoughts. It is the witness to your fears. It is the presence that was there before you had a name, before you had a story, before you learned to call yourself inadequate or successful, broken or whole. And that presence, that silent awareness, does not worry because it knows. You have been taught to believe that worry is responsible, that anxiety is necessary, that fear is a sign of intelligence. But what if I told you that worry is simply a habit of the ego, a conditioned response from a mind that has forgotten its source? What if I told you that the very energy you spend worrying is the same energy that could be used to create miracles? Worry is a prayer for what you do not want. Think about that. Every time you worry, you are placing your attention on an outcome you fear. You are energizing it. You are watering it. And because everything in this universe responds to attention, you are collaborating with the very reality you hope to avoid. The ego calls this preparation. The soul calls it forgetfulness. The ego says, if I don't worry, something bad will happen. The soul whispers, if you keep worrying, you will miss the miracle. You are not here to control the world. You are here to align with it. And alignment does not come through tension. It comes through trust. Imagine the ocean for a moment. On the surface, there are waves, some gentle, some violent. The waves crash and roar and foam, and if you identified yourself as a wave, you would live in constant fear of breaking apart. You would compare your height to other waves. You would dread the shore, but you are not the wave. You are the ocean. The vast, depthless, infinite ocean beneath the movement. Worry is what happens when you believe you are only the wave. Giving it to God is remembering you are the ocean. You say, but how do I stop worrying? My problems are real. Yes, your circumstances may be real in the physical sense. Bills must be paid. Illness must be faced. Relationships may end. But the suffering you attach to these events is optional. It is born from resistance. It is born from the belief that life should obey your script. What if instead of asking, why is this happening to me, you asked, what is this trying to teach me? What if you trusted that there is an intelligence operating in your life that sees further than you do, that knows what your limited perspective cannot yet grasp? The ego is terrified of surrender because it equates surrender with defeat. But surrender is not giving up, it is giving over. It is placing your burdens into the hands of something greater than your limited intellect. It is saying, I do not need to solve this alone. You were never meant to. There is a field of infinite intelligence that breathes through you. The same force that beats your heart without your command, that digests your food without your supervision, that orchestrates galaxies without your input. And yet, you believe that your small, anxious thoughts are necessary to keep your life from collapsing. Look at the absurdity of that. When you were in your mother's womb, you did not worry about oxygen. You did not strategize how to grow fingers. You trusted life because you were life. That same intelligence has not left you. It has simply been drowned out by the noise of fear. The mind loves to predict disaster. It scans for threats. It builds scenarios. It rehearses pain. And in doing so, it keeps you from inhabiting the only moment that ever exists, the now. Worry lives in the future. Regret lives in the past. God lives in the present. To give it to God is to return to now. Right now, in this breath, are you safe? In this exact moment, before the next thought arises, is there anything lacking? Notice how the body softens when you come here. Notice how the heart slows when you stop chasing imagined futures. The ego feeds on what if. The soul rests in what is. You say, what if I fail? And I ask you, what if you don't? You say, what if I lose everything? And I ask you, what if losing everything reveals what can never be taken? You say, what if it doesn't work out? And I ask you, what if it works out in ways you cannot yet imagine? The ego demands certainty before action. The soul offers faith before evidence. Faith is not blind belief, it is inner knowing. It is the quiet conviction that life is not random, that there is an order beneath the chaos, that there is a wisdom guiding you even when you cannot see the map. Have you ever noticed how often the things you once worried about never came to pass? and the challenges that did arise were not the ones you rehearsed, worry is almost always wrong. It is a poor prophet and a cruel master, and yet you return to it as though it were a loyal friend. What if instead you befriended trust? Trust does not mean you become passive. It means you act from inspiration rather than desperation. It means you take steps guided by intuition rather than driven by fear. It means you do what you can and release what you cannot. There is a powerful affirmation that shifts everything. I am willing to release this to a higher power. Say it slowly. Feel it. I am willing to release this to a higher power. Notice the word willing. You do not have to feel perfectly calm. You do not have to eliminate every trace of fear. You only need willingness. Willingness opens the door. Willingness invites grace. When you give your worries to God, you are not abandoning responsibility. You are acknowledging partnership. You are saying, I will show up. I will do my part. And I trust that the rest is being handled by an intelligence far greater than my limited thinking. Think of the sky. Storms pass through it. Thunder shakes it. Clouds darken it. But the sky itself is never harmed. Your awareness is the sky. Your worries are the weather. Why identify with the storm when you are the vastness in which it appears? The ego thrives on control. It wants guarantees. It wants to manipulate outcomes. It wants applause and security and validation. And when it cannot secure these, it worries, it panics, it tightens. But the more you tighten, the more life slips through your fingers. Have you ever tried to hold water in a clenched fist? It escapes. But when you open your hand, it rests there naturally. Surrender is an open hand. There is a deeper question beneath every worry. It is this: do I trust life, not intellectually, not philosophically, but truly, in your bones, do you trust that you are supported? You are not a mistake. You are not an accident drifting through an indifferent universe. You are an expression of the same creative intelligence that spins planets and blooms flowers. That intelligence did not bring you here to abandon you, but you must meet it halfway. When fear arises, and it will, do not fight it. Do not judge yourself for feeling it. Simply notice it. Say, here is worry again. And then gently place it into the hands of the divine. Visualize it dissolving. Imagine it being carried by a current far stronger than your anxious thoughts. This is a practice, not a one-time event. The ego will return. It always does. But each time you choose trust over tension, you weaken its grip. There is freedom in realizing that you do not have to orchestrate every detail of your existence, that you can breathe and allow and receive. Consider the orange. When you squeeze an orange, what comes out? Orange juice. Not apple juice, not grape juice, only what was inside. When life squeezes you, and it will, what comes out? If worry comes out, it is because worry was within. If faith comes out, it is because faith was cultivated. You cannot control the squeezing, but you can choose what you store inside. Fill yourself with trust, with affirmations, with reminders of your connection to something eternal. And when pressure comes, what will flow is calm strength. You say, but I've always been a worrier. That is a story, a label, and you are not your labels. You are not your past patterns. You are the awareness capable of observing them. And what you can observe, you can change. Begin with small acts of surrender. When you catch yourself replaying a conversation, say, I release this. When you find yourself predicting disaster, say, I choose trust. When your body tightens, breathe and whisper, I am supported. Worry contracts. Trust expands. Notice which one feels like your true nature. There is a profound humility in giving it to God. It is the recognition that your vision is partial, that there are threads being woven that you cannot yet see. Sometimes what appears as loss is redirection. Sometimes what appears as delay is preparation. If you had received everything you once demanded, would you be who you are now? Or were there closed doors that protected you? Were there detours that shaped you? The ego sees obstacles. The soul sees curriculum. Life is not happening to you. It is happening for you. And when you truly absorb this, worry begins to dissolve. This does not mean you become indifferent. It means you become anchored. You care deeply, but you are not consumed. You act decisively, but you are not frantic. You love fully, but you do not cling. To give it to God is to remember that you are not alone in the unfolding of your story, that there is a co-creator within you, guiding you through intuition, through synchronicity, through subtle nudges. Have you ever had a moment when everything aligned unexpectedly, when the right person appeared at the right time, when a solution emerged just as you were about to give up? That was not coincidence. That was alignment, and alignment cannot coexist with chronic worry. You cannot receive guidance when your mind is screaming. Silence is the doorway. Stillness is the invitation. In quiet moments, ask inwardly, what would love do here? And then listen, not to the loud voice of fear, but to the gentle whisper beneath it. Love does not worry. Love trusts. At the end of your life, you will not regret the moment you trusted. You will regret the days you spent anxious over things that never happened. You will see how much energy was lost to imaginary futures. Why wait until then? Right now, you can choose differently. Right now, you can lay your burdens down. You can say, I am done trying to control the uncontrollable. I am done rehearsing pain. I am done doubting the intelligence that created me. Feel the relief in that declaration. You were not designed to carry the weight of the universe. You were designed to participate in its wonder. So give it to God. Give him your fears about money. Give him your concerns about health. Give him your worries about your children, your career, your reputation. Place them all into that infinite field of love and say, I trust you more than I trust my fear. And then watch what happens. You may not see immediate fireworks, but you will feel a shift, a lightness, a spaciousness. And from that space, inspired action will arise naturally. This is the paradox. When you stop obsessing, clarity comes. When you release control, solutions appear. When you surrender the outcome, you often receive something better than what you imagined. Because the ego dreams small, the soul dreams vast. There is an ancient wisdom that says, be still and know. Stillness is not laziness, it is alignment. It is the recognition that the same force that sustains the cosmos sustains you. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine placing every worry into a flowing river. Watch them drift away. Some may try to cling to the shore. Gently nudge them back into the current. You do not need to retrieve them. The river knows where to carry them. You are free to live. Free to laugh without scanning for disaster. Free to love without anticipating loss. Free to create without fearing failure. This freedom has always been available. It was only hidden behind the illusion that you had to manage everything alone. You don't. You never did. And as you walk forward from this moment, let your mantra be simple and powerful. I trust. I release. I am supported. Let those words become your new habit. Let them replace the old mental scripts. Each time worry arises, see it as a reminder to return to faith. Because giving it to God is not weakness. It is strength rooted in humility. It is courage born from connection. It is the ultimate act of remembering who you truly are, not a fragile wave fighting the shore, but the infinite ocean itself. And the ocean does not worry about the tide. It moves in rhythm with a force far greater than itself, yet inseparable from it. You are that rhythm. You are that force. You are that infinite, divine presence expressing itself as a human being. So breathe, release, trust, and live. And as you begin to live from this place of surrender, something extraordinary begins to unfold within you. It is subtle at first, almost imperceptible, like the faint light before dawn. You notice that your breath deepens, your shoulders soften, the constant hum of mental noise grows quieter, and in that quiet, you discover something that has always been there, a presence untouched by circumstance. This presence does not tremble when the phone rings with unexpected news. It does not shrink when the world appears uncertain. It does not bargain or plead or grasp. It simply is. And in its beingness, there is profound power. You have been conditioned to believe that power comes from control, from strategizing every possible outcome, from anticipating every potential threat. But real power is alignment. Real power is knowing that you are an extension of a creative force that cannot be diminished by temporary conditions. Look at nature. The oak tree does not worry about the winter. It does not anxiously calculate how many leaves it might lose. It stands rooted, trusting the cycles. It understands something you have forgotten, that endings are not failures. They are transitions. Worry is what happens when you resist the seasons of your life. There are winters in every human journey. Times when relationships fall away, when finances tighten, when health falters, when dreams seem distant. The ego interprets these as evidence of danger, of loss, of injustice, but the soul sees them as sacred pruning. What if this moment in your life is not a punishment, but preparation? What if the very thing you are asking to be removed is the very thing shaping your strength? When you give it to God, you are not denying your pain. You are transforming your relationship to it. You are saying, I trust that even this has purpose. And in that trust, suffering begins to loosen its grip. There is a remarkable shift that occurs when you stop arguing with reality. When you stop insisting that life should look different than it does. Acceptance does not mean approval. It means clarity. It means seeing what is without layering it with fear. And from clarity, inspired action becomes possible. The ego reacts. The soul responds. The ego panics. The soul pauses. The ego demands guarantees. The soul moves with guidance. You have within you an inner compass that is always pointing toward peace. But worry scrambles the signal. It distorts perception. It convinces you that urgency is wisdom. Have you ever made a decision from fear and later realized it was unnecessary? Have you ever spent days worrying about a conversation that lasted only minutes? This is how the ego drains your life force, by keeping you preoccupied with shadows. But shadows cannot exist without light, and you are the light. When you remember this, the shadows lose their authority. There is a profound statement that can recalibrate your entire nervous system. Nothing is missing. Say it slowly. Nothing is missing. In this moment, you have air in your lungs, a beating heart, awareness, consciousness. The essentials of existence are present. The rest is narrative. The rest is interpretation. The ego thrives on the illusion of lack. It whispers, you don't have enough. You aren't enough. There isn't enough. And from that illusion, worry is born. But abundance is not a quantity. It is a frequency. It is the recognition that you are connected to an inexhaustible source. When you feel disconnected from that source, you attempt to compensate through control, through planning, through mental rehearsal. But when you feel connected, you relax into participation. Life becomes less of a battlefield and more of a dance. And in a dance, you do not control every movement. You respond to rhythm. You trust the music. You allow yourself to be guided. The music of your life is playing right now. Can you hear it beneath the noise of fear? It sounds like intuition, like subtle knowing, like a quiet nudge that says, go this way, or wait, or let go. But worry drowns it out with louder questions. What if this fails? What if they reject me? What if I'm wrong? You are allowed to be wrong. You are allowed to stumble. You are allowed to learn. Perfection is not the requirement for divine support. Imagine a child learning to walk. The child falls repeatedly. Does the loving parent withdraw support, or does the parent watch with patience, knowing that falling is part of mastery? You are that child, and the universe is infinitely patient. But the ego is impatient. It wants immediate certainty. It wants assurance that every step will lead to applause. And when applause is not guaranteed, it chooses worry as a substitute for courage. Yet courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to trust something greater than fear. You are not here to eliminate uncertainty. You are here to expand within it. Consider how much of your life has unfolded without your micromanagement. Your heart beats while you sleep. Your cells regenerate. The earth rotates. The sun rises. You do not supervise these miracles. Why, then, do you believe your anxious thoughts are required to hold your world together? There is a humility in admitting, I don't know how this will unfold. And there is liberation in adding, but I trust that it will. Trust does not guarantee comfort. It guarantees growth. When you surrender your worries, you create space for wisdom to enter. You allow solutions to surface organically. You open yourself to synchronicities that fear would have overlooked. And here is the deeper truth. Worry is often an attempt to avoid feeling. It is easier to think about the future than to feel the present. It is easier to strategize than to sit with vulnerability. But healing begins when you stop running from your emotions and start embracing them with compassion. If you are afraid, acknowledge it. If you are hurt, honor it. If you are uncertain, admit it. Then gently say, I place this in the hands of something greater than me. You are not meant to carry emotional weight alone. There is an unseen support system woven into the fabric of existence. Call it God, call it Source, call it infinite intelligence. The name is irrelevant. The presence is undeniable. You have felt it in moments of awe, in moments of love so profound that time seemed to dissolve, in moments of silence so deep that your identity felt spacious and undefined. That is your true nature. And your true nature is not anxious. The more you align with that nature, the more you realize that worry is a learned behavior, not an inherent trait. It was modeled, reinforced, repeated, but it can be unlearned. Every time you choose surrender over spiraling, you are rewiring your consciousness. You are teaching your nervous system a new pattern, safety and trust. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, life begins to feel different. Challenges still arise, but they do not consume you. Uncertainty still exists, but it does not paralyze you. You move through circumstances with a grounded calm that surprises even you. This is not indifference, it is inner freedom. Inner freedom is the ability to experience life fully without being enslaved by fear of outcomes. And this freedom is available now, not when the bills are paid, not when the diagnosis changes, not when the relationship improves. Now, because freedom is not external, it is a decision. A decision to say, I refuse to let my mind be a factory of worst-case scenarios. A decision to say, I trust the intelligence that brought me here. A decision to say, even if I cannot see the path, I believe it is unfolding. The ego sees life as a series of threats. The soul sees life as a series of invitations. An invitation to grow, to forgive, to release, to expand. You may not control the invitations, but you control your response. And when your response is trust, life opens in ways that fear could never orchestrate. Imagine waking each morning not with a checklist of worries, but with a quiet affirmation, today I walk with faith. Imagine facing difficulties not with dread, but with curiosity. What is this here to teach me? Imagine closing your eyes at night without rehearsing tomorrow's fears, but instead whispering, thank you for guiding me. This is not fantasy, it is practice. And like any practice, it strengthens with repetition. The mind may still attempt to wander into worry. That is its habit, but you are not your mind. You are the awareness observing it, and awareness has choice. When a fearful thought arises, you can engage it or you can release it. You can follow it down a spiral or you can hand it over to something greater. In that moment of choice, your destiny shifts. You are far more powerful than you realize. Not because you can control external events, but because you can choose your internal state. And your internal state is the lens through which you experience everything. If the lens is fear, the world appears hostile. If the lens is trust, the world appears supportive. The events may be identical, the interpretation changes everything, so give it to God not as a last resort, but as a first response. Before the spiral, before the sleepless night, before the endless mental debate, pause and say, I release this, and feel the shift. You may notice resistance. The ego may protest, but if you don't worry, you'll be unprepared. Smile at that voice. Thank it for its attempt to protect you. And then gently choose again. Choose peace. Choose surrender. Choose faith. Because at the deepest level of your being, you already know that you are held, that you are guided, that you are loved beyond measure. You do not have to earn this support. You do not have to prove yourself worthy of it. It is your birthright as a divine expression of life. So lay down the burden. Lay down the belief that everything depends on your anxious vigilance. Lay down the story that says you are alone in this, and step into the quiet, luminous truth that has been waiting for you all along. You are not here to worry your way through existence. You are here to trust your way into awakening. And when you do, when you truly do, the world does not become free of challenges, but you become free within it. And that changes everything.